Imagine this. You walk into a restaurant in the United States. You order a simple glass of soda. A minute later, the waiter brings your drink. But when you look inside the glass, you barely see any soda at all. The cup is completely filled with ice. Ice cubes stacked to the top, clinking against the glass. For many visitors from Europe or Asia, this moment is confusing. Why so much ice? Why not just pour more drink? Why do Americans seem to put ice in almost everything they drink? Water, soda, juice, lemonade, even iced coffee. To outsiders, it can feel excessive, even strange. But this habit actually has a fascinating story behind it, one that mixes history, technology, culture, and even geography. So today, let's explore the surprisingly cool reason why Americans love their drinks ice cold. In many countries, drinks are served cool, but in the United States, people prefer them very cold. Not slightly chilled, not room temperature, but ice cold. If you order water at a restaurant, you will almost always receive it with ice. Sometimes a lot of ice. Visitors often ask, why are Americans obsessed with cold drinks? Part of the answer lies in climate. Large parts of the United States experience very hot summers. States like Texas, Arizona, Florida, and Nevada can reach temperatures well above 35 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit. In those conditions, cold drinks are incredibly refreshing. Over time, Americans simply got used to expecting drinks to be as cold as possible. But climate alone doesn't explain the mountain of ice in every glass. For that, we need to travel back in time. In the early 1800s, refrigeration didn't exist. Yet Americans still wanted cold drinks. So where did the ice come from? Surprisingly, from frozen lakes. During winter in New England, workers would cut huge blocks of ice from frozen lakes and rivers. These ice blocks were stored in insulated warehouses packed with sawdust. Then something incredible happened. Entrepreneurs began shipping ice across the world. Ice harvested in Massachusetts was transported by ship to places like the Caribbean, South America, India. Imagine that. Natural ice traveling thousands of kilometers in wooden ships. One of the most famous ice merchants was a man named Frederick Tudor, often called the Ice King. His business made ice widely available across the United States. Suddenly, cold drinks became fashionable. Restaurants, bars, and homes started serving beverages with ice. It quickly became a symbol of modern comfort and luxury, and Americans loved it. But the real explosion of ice drinks came later. In the early 20th century, refrigerators began appearing in American homes. By the 1950s, refrigerators with freezers and ice trays were everywhere. Now, ice was no longer rare, it was abundant. Families could make ice whenever they wanted. Soon, automatic ice makers appeared in refrigerators. With a push of a lever, you could fill a glass with ice instantly. Restaurants followed the trend. Fast food chains installed machines that produced enormous amounts of ice every day. By the 1970s and 1980s, iced drinks had become completely normal. A drink without ice started to feel unusual. Another big reason for the ice habit is fast food culture. The United States created many of the world's biggest fast food chains. Companies like McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, these restaurants serve millions of drinks every day, and they almost always fill cups with ice. Why? Because ice keeps drinks cold longer, especially during long car rides. Remember, the US is a country built around driving. People often buy drinks at drive-through windows and take them on the road. A cup filled with ice keeps the beverage refreshing even after 30 minutes or an hour. But there's another reason restaurants love ice. It also reduces the amount of soda needed. Less liquid, more ice. For businesses, that means lower costs. For customers, it still feels like a full cup. There is also a psychological effect. Cold drinks simply feel more refreshing. When a drink is extremely cold, your brain interprets it as more satisfying. The sound of ice cubes clinking, the cold condensation forming on the outside of the glass, the tiny shock when the drink touches your lips, all of these sensory signals create the feeling of refreshment. In American culture, drinks are often marketed as ice cold. Extra cold, frosty coldness itself becomes part of the experience. Interestingly, this habit is not universal. In many countries, drinks are served with little or no ice. In parts of Europe, people often prefer beverages that are only slightly chilled. In some Asian cultures, drinking extremely cold beverages is believed to be unhealthy. Some people believe cold drinks can affect digestion or the body's balance. So, when international visitors arrive in the United States, the ice can feel overwhelming. They may ask for water with no ice, or just a little ice, please. But for Americans, a drink without ice can feel incomplete. It's simply what they grew up with. So why do Americans put ice in everything they drink? The answer is a mix of history, technology, climate, and culture. From frozen lakes in the 1800s, to refrigerators in every home, to fast food restaurants and long summer road trips, ice became part of everyday life. Today, it's such a normal habit that most Americans don't even notice it. But for visitors, that first glass packed with ice can be a surprising cultural moment, and sometimes the smallest everyday habits reveal the biggest cultural stories. Because even something as simple as a cube of ice can tell us a lot about a country.